From the sidelines on 1580 KGAL.
And a good Friday morning welcome from the sidelines. We do this each Friday here at 1580 KGAL. Locally owned and operated, and very proud to be local. It's a rare thing. You know, corporations have taken over the world, my friend. They've taken over radio, but not here. We're locally owned and operated. Everything is done here on Friday morning from our studios in downtown Albany, 14th and Waverly. We always invite you to drop by, that if you happen to be in the neighborhood. Of course, we have our main studios in Lebanon. You're invited to drop by there anytime. But at 14th and Waverly here in what used to be the old library building, now the Silver Falls Dermatology building, if you are in this neighborhood and would like to drop in, please do so. We welcome you to come by and say hello. And if sports fan, we'll even throw you in a chair here and have you talk with us. And one of the reasons we'd like you to come by is it strikes me again that down the dial, don't go. You don't want to make a big mistake. Never go down the dial. It can ruin you. There is that thing called NPR, which stands for Need Payment Regularly. Now, I don't know if they're doing it at this moment. I know some of the other stations that ask you to send money are starting to do so. So if they haven't done it, they will soon. It's time again. Every 3 months, they ask you for money. And we figure if they can do it, so can we. So if you're in the neighborhood today, not only do I always extend that invitation to stop in, but stop in and give us, oh gosh, I don't know, $100. I heard the other day one of those stations was asking for $100. And I thought, that's nice. I've considered $10 would be nice. You know, if you want to start, need payment regularly, people. They ask you for the big dough. We'll just say, you got $5, $10, come by, hand it to us, and we'll give you, I'll tell you what, I've got, we have these KGAL K-Show pads here. It says right on there, KGAL K-Show. So you have these, there's over 100 pages in this thing. These are not small things. You're always looking for something at home to write on. You know, every time I need to leave a message, I'm always looking for a paper at home. And I forget that I haven't taken one of these home, and I can never find anything to write on. So I wind up, writing on the back of an envelope from some mail. It looks like an Abraham Lincoln thing where he left the note. But we have these, and you can write a note on there, such as, never listen to any dial to the left of 1580. Even Dennis Prager would agree with that. Never listen to any station left of 1580. A good number of stations, by the way, would be left of 1580, but that's another topic, if you understand what I'm saying. We'll give you one of these for just $10, $15. If you have the feeling that you have now switched allegiances from that need payment regularly thing down to our end of the dial and wish to give us $100, we'll give you two of these pads. So stop in, make yourselves at home, come by today and say hello, and once you come in the door, by the way, we're not letting you out without paying something. But don't worry about that. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm a little concerned because I got a call today from Wally in the middle of the week that Wally is up in Portland, that he considers his business more important than this. That is a mistaken concept of loyalty. Because sports, actually, as we all know, among the male gender, sports should be number one regardless. I mean, even if it has to hurt your business to come in here and talk sports, you should be doing that. But Wally is up in Portland, and I wasn't sure if Rob Allen was stopping by today, but as I looked at that door, I don't see Rob Allen there either, which means I am alone with my sports conscience this morning. And that is not a good thing to be. My sports conscience hurts. Actually, I feel good about the springtime. There were two indications of early spring today. One was at the bottom of the road by the Cheshire Mansion, where I reside. It says, I make no qualms about it. It's a 7-figure job, and the problem with a 7-figure job is that you have to live like you're making 7 figures. I can't live the same way as you poor people down at the bottom of the hill live. I have to live high. So, I'm up in the Cheshire Mansion there. But coming down this morning from the hill, at the bottom of the road, there was a skunk crossing the road. Reminded me that I had said on our morning update each day, 5:30 to 9, Monday through Friday here at KGAL, a few weeks ago that I had seen a skunk. And it's an indication usually when you start to see them scrambling that warmer weather is coming. Now, I have been an advocate for years and years, of believing that once you see numerous dead skunks on the highway, and for some reason we settled on 3. There is nothing really technical about that. It just seemed that's the way it was, that if you could see 3 dead skunks in different areas, you can't, for example, if you're listening somewhere out in some rural area, you can't go out and shoot 3 skunks today and then bring spring. But if you find traveling over a good distance, and I do between my home, the beautiful Cheshire Mansion, and here at the KGAL studios, if you find 3 different spots with dead skunks, usually that is an indication that warm weather will be coming. It's not immediate. It can be 7-10 days, but it's coming down the road. Don't mean to use that pun for the dead skunks who gave up their lives on the road. But I'm telling you, and I say this very seriously now, I think that's true. When you begin to see multiple carcasses, skunk carcasses, it is a sign of spring. Now, the one this morning obviously was not dead, even though I followed it across the road into the fields trying to kill the little sucker. But, I figured that's number one. We need to get spring any way we can, but I couldn't get to it. So it was alive, but just the presence of them when they start coming out implies some nicer weather. Not that, we're not going to have snow in March as we did last year, but it implies that we're getting closer to spring, and the next few days are going to be a little warmer. Today's supposed to be close to 60, by the way. So it is a sign. And that was a good feeling this morning, February 15th, to see the live skunk on the road. And the other thing is, I realized that today the Beavers are playing baseball. They start their baseball season today. The Ducks play baseball as well, and they're both in the top 10. I think the Beavers, I know, in one of the polls, and there are several of these baseball polls, but they are highly rated in almost all of them. And in one of them, I know they're number 8 to start the year. You almost hate to see that because that puts so much pressure on them. And as a fan, you hate to be misled by something that tells you, hey, everything is going to go great from this point on. So I don't like to see those polls, but they are ranked rather highly. They begin their baseball season today. I think they're in California to start. And the Ducks, who were I think they may have been 10 in a poll in which the Beavers were 8, so they're both up there. The Ducks begin their baseball season as well. If you take the skunk at the bottom of the road from the Cheshire Mansion and the fact that the Beavers are playing baseball, the fact that last week the softball team began their season and went 2-3, it's always amazing this time of year. They've already played 5 games for the softball team. It's just, it doesn't seem like it would be possible. And they'll be back in action this weekend. They'll probably play, 4 or 5 more games this weekend. Put all those things together, you have the inevitability of spring. It is somewhere at our doorstep, and that is a good feeling this morning. Speaking of the baseball team and all the expectations for them this year, and they had kind of a rough season last year, except at the end, they swept the Ducks in a series at the end, in a season in which the Ducks wound up having a very good year going to the NCAA playoffs. It was the opposite of the year prior, where the Beavers were doing well, and the Ducks, I believe, even swept them in the final series. Last year, it was exactly the opposite. The Beavers did not have a good season. The Ducks were riding high in the polls, and I was back in Buffalo visiting my brother, and the weekend that the Ducks and the Beavers played their Civil War series in May. And I looked on Saturday morning in the Buffalo Evening News for college baseball scores, and they didn't have the Duck-Beaver game. And after that, after Saturday morning, I forgot that they were playing that weekend. On Sunday night, I was outside the facility where my brother lives, and I suddenly realized that I should check my phone and check for messages. And I did. Now, this was Sunday evening, Eastern time, and it just had happened that 3 hours earlier here in the West, just had happened that the Beaver-Duck game had come to a conclusion and the series was over. And I had a message on my phone from my wife, Mary Jo, who said, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Beavers have swept the Ducks. And I can tell you that I let out a yell in the parking lot of that facility. Now, it's an assisted living facility, and this was about 8 o'clock in the evening, and some of the people who were on the day shift were leaving the place, and they're workers, you know, they work with people that, some of them have some problems. And I was sitting in the car going, yes! And these people, the people could hear it because they were on the sidewalk in front of me, and they suddenly looked, and I thought they were going to come over and put me in one of those apartments because of the fact that I was sitting in the car yelling, that they thought, you know, he's leaving, he's escaping. But everything was fine. The Ducks had swept the Beavers. A great end to the season. I was going to play for you here, and I think I will a little bit. I see Rob Allen has come into our studios here. But talking of baseball, perhaps because the Ducks lost to the Beavers in those last 3 games last year, the Beavers have picked up some pitchers they think are very good. They are highly ranked coming into this season. The danger to that is the expectation. Many years back, when the Beavers finally won, and won big, when they won in the Fiesta Bowl against Notre Dame, the next year there were great expectations for the Beavers. I want to go back and play an old Church of the Beaver Believer today that goes back to that era in which the expectations increased tremendously because of the prior season. That is something that you should never let influence you. Prior successes, whatever they may be, even if that was sweeping the Ducks at the end of the year, should never affect your thoughts about the next year. You just don't know what's going to happen. I will play that as we continue this morning, and Rob Allen is here, and we'll talk some sports, some baseball. I do want to talk baseball today, as there are 46 days until the Mariners open their season. That's not much. There's a skunk at the bottom of the road of the Cheshire Mansion. Beavers are playing baseball, Beavers and Ducks, and 46 days to the opening of the Mariner game. Spring is almost here, my friends. And so is a thought on not letting your expectations get out of hand when we continue today from the sidelines.
If you have lived in the Mid-Willamette Valley for just a short time or possibly most of your life, you probably know a lot about Mennonite Village of Albany. In fact, their reputation is well known throughout the Pacific Northwest. They are a faith-based community in the Mennonite tradition of faith, family, and friendship. As a continuing care retirement community, they provide housing and support services designed to meet the changing needs of persons of all faiths and beliefs. The Mennonite Village offers a variety of retirement living arrangements, including active living homes, congregate living apartments, assisted living apartments, Alzheimer's and dementia care, and nursing and rehabilitation. As a nonprofit organization, their rates for these services are quite reasonable. Right now is a perfect time to contact Gene Stutzman for a tour of the Mennonite Village to check them out at 5353 Columbus Street Southeast in Albany. Online at MennoniteVillage.org or call 541-928-7232. That's 541-928-7232.
The 27th Children's Performing Arts Series, presented by Albany Parks and Recreation Department, is hosting The Reptile Man. February 16th, The Reptile Man will bring 17 cold-blooded creatures to dazzle the audience, including pythons, a tortoise, a rat snake, and lizards. The Reptile Man shows have been educating and entertaining kids for more than 20 years. And The Reptile Man will be at the Lynn Benton Community College campus February 16th, Saturday at 10 a.m. The performance is free.
Mark Thomas Motors, why pay more?
It's Truck Month at Mark Thomas Motors in Albany. 0% financing for 36 months on 2012 trucks. Ram is the only pickup manufacturer to achieve 20 mpg Highway Plus across its entire light-duty engine lineup. You'll love the Ram 1500 Hemi V8 in regular quad and crew cabs with 3 bed sizes. Get behind the wheel of a Ram truck. Hard-charging power, easy-going gas mileage, an incredibly smooth ride, extra grip and pulling power. Lots of 2012 trucks to choose from now at Mark Thomas Motors in Albany. You'll you'll be proud.
Check your mailbox for the Mark Thomas Motors Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Tax Time Community Charity and Sales Event. You can win a new Dodge Star cash, Apple iPods, gold coins, and more. See mailer for details. Your tax return is your down payment, and partial proceeds go to the ABC House. Payments available at $0 down and $132 a month. Pre-owned autos as low as $999. See dealer for details. Save big during the Tax Time Community Charity and Sales Event at Mark Thomas Motors, 2315 Salem Highway Southeast in Albany. Hurry, sales ends this Sunday at 5.
Mark Thomas Motors, why pay more?
Now, for a limited time, save $20 on radiator or transmission flushes at Kanega Tire Factory. And if you're watching your budget, ask about the latest variety of quality used passenger and light truck tires. For over 50 years, you've trusted Kanega to keep you and your family on the road. And Kanega services just get better and better. From tires to struts, brakes to free battery checks, even propane for your barbecue and RV. Still at the Y in Lebanon, the place to buy your tires and more is still Kanega Tire Factory.
From PCs to the internet, Kim Commando has the answers. Saturday mornings on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
Welcome back to From the Sidelines this Friday morning. And programming change. Thank you. That's our producer, Carlton Dampour. As you know, it's a Dampour production each and every day here and on Friday mornings as well. That piece I was going to play for you, I had it in my car. You see, here's a funny thing. You'll get a kick out of this. I'm laughing. I have a bag there in the front, and I put it in the bag, but see, I didn't bring the bag out of the car, so it's in the car, so we're not going to hear that. What I was talking about was expectations getting too high and then really having a letdown. There's Rob Allen over there, by the way. Expectations. I was hoping you'd be here this morning. You've exceeded my expectations. Good deal.
Good morning.
Welcome. How come you're on 3. It's not 2. We only have 2 microphones open, but you're on 3.
Hey.
So there we are.
There we are.
There. No. You're on 3. Mr. Smooth.
You got him at home.
There we are. Locally owned and operated. And
yes.
Sometimes locally owned and poorly operated when I'm at the controls. I admit that. Welcome.
And a hearty good morning to you.
Thank you so much. I was talking about expectations for the Beaver baseball team. They're ranked number 8 in one of the polls, ranked very highly in all of the polls. And back around the year 2000, when things changed dramatically for the Beavers, when they went to the Fiesta Bowl and they beat Notre Dame, the next year, which I believe the next year 2001 or next 2002, but
yes.
I think it was one of those. Are you saying yes to one?
It was the 2001 season. That was the next season.
When they won?
When they won.
January of 2001.
They won in January of 2001,
when
which
they beat
was
Notre
the
Dame.
2000 season.
So in 2002, 2001 then would be the season when the expectations were high in the fall of 2001. And I had a Church of the Believer that I was, Beaver Believer, I was listening to from the previous year. That is the end in the Fiesta Bowl where they were going to meet Notre Dame, and they won that game. So the next season, Sports Illustrated, at least one of the writers, picked them number 1 in the country.
Yes.
Number 1 in the nation.
Yes.
And they opened against a very tough Fresno State team. I think aren't they from the SEC or near Alabama somewhere?
Close.
Auburn and
West Coast.
Mississippi and all those. They opened against Fresno State. And there was a Church of the Beaver Believer from that opening week of 2001, the fall. And then the next one that follows up is the fact that they lost to Fresno State the very first week of the season.
Right.
And they wound up with a losing record for the year. If you go to the last Church of the Beaver Believer. And they were, one of the Sports Illustrated people had picked them as number 1 in the country. So I was going to play that piece, but it's in the car, and we don't need it anyway. It just, I already explained, do not let the expectations get out of hand. Just the fact that they're playing baseball is enough.
Right. Absolutely.
Oh, and Andrew Moore is one of the starters for the Beavers this year. I don't know how often you've been with me for baseball in the last few years, but North Eugene.
I was going to say, that name rings a bell.
Yeah. He took North Eugene to a state championship, 5A championship, a couple of years ago. And he pitched very well.
Single-handedly. He was the only starter that postseason, right?
No, they did. They used someone. In fact, I think they played Corvallis to open the playoff season, and they used their number 2 starter against Corvallis.
Right. That's right.
That was a surprise.
It was, but he was good too.
But then, yes, he was. But then Andrew Moore, I think, pitched the next couple of games. One where they was a little closer, and then they had a little more time, I believe, before the championship game. Andrew Moore pitched them to the championship, and I think, boy, there's too many games and too few memories now. I know that Andrew Moore pitched against either West or, it might have been American Legion ball, actually. It could have been American Legion or high school, but we saw Andrew Moore pitch a game, and I think it may have finished as a no-hitter. When I say I think, it was either a one-hitter or a no-hitter.
Boy, I can't remember, but he is that talented. It could have been a no-hitter.
So they say he could be a starter this year as a freshman. But again, you got these expectations. Don't expect him to be pitching no-hitters. But it's nice to see the baseball season begin. That said, there are a lot of changes in the baseball season this year. Nobody thinks the Yankees are going to do well because the Yankees are old. Alex Rodriguez is out, and he got caught with the Miami, those people in Miami, whatever that place is called, with the biogenesis people. It's an anti-aging clinic is basically what they say.
Wow.
But they have a record. They sell steroids and human growth hormone and things of that sort, and they have records with Alex Rodriguez's name there, having purchased some from that group, and some other names as well. But the Yankees do not have Alex Rodriguez this year because he injured himself at the end of last year. Some say the injury could be due to the fact that the body actually will deteriorate after a time if you're using the human growth hormone or some of those, whatever steroid substances are. Mariano Rivera injured himself in May of last year, shagging fly balls in the outfield. He's coming back, but he's like 106.
Right.
So suddenly they think the Yankees are falling off, and the ones rising now in the East, Toronto is picked by a lot of people as number 1 because of the trades that they made in the offseason. They picked up some really good players. Baltimore had a good run last year with the Yankees right down to the last day. I think they wound up in a playoff, 1-game playoff. Baltimore is back this year. So many people think this is the year in which things are going to change a little bit. The Yankees and Boston did nothing in the offseason.
Right, in Tampa Bay, they at least gave up B.J. Upton to Atlanta.
Tampa Bay, though, is a team that has traded some of their players and gotten some good players and is living well in that, like Oakland does, for example. When players become too good, they can't afford them, they have to let them go. Tampa Bay has some young players that they think, and that's always a danger.
Right.
They haven't been in the major leagues, but they think Tampa Bay is going to hang in again this year. Boston did really nothing in the offseason. They made that trade with Carl Crawford and Adrian Gonzalez to the Dodgers. And they said the reason that they did that is they wanted to free up some money. Well, if you have... Carl Crawford has been injured and hadn't produced yet for the Red Sox. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. So that's one you take a chance on. But Adrian Gonzalez, while he didn't homer much for the Red Sox, the power for some reason went out. What do you think?
Oh, man, I don't know. It could be a number of things.
His name has never been linked to the substance abuse, but his power dropped with the Red Sox. But yet, his runs batted in, his on-base percentage, and his batting average did not. And so if you're giving up that kind of talent, why would you be giving up an Adrian Gonzalez to free up some money? Who are you going to spend it on?
Right.
Well, let's go get Adrian Gonzalez. You used to own it.
Right.
It just seems stupid to do that. So they didn't spend any in the offseason. They picked up a couple of players whose names right now I couldn't give you, who had off seasons with other teams, but are somewhat known commodities because a few years ago they had good years.
Right.
How many times do you hear that kind of thing where they had good years 2 years ago, let's pick them up and hope they're good again?
All the time.
And it's, a lot of times the Mariners certainly do that, and it hasn't worked out. I don't see them going anywhere. I see suddenly the management seems to have doomed the Red Sox to a lower division finish for years to come.
And Dustin Pedroia needs to have a comeback year. It seemed like last year, a couple of years ago, he was an MVP type player.
And Jacoby Ellsbury needs to have a comeback year.
And Big Papi needs to pop another 50 home runs.
And that's, it's more likely that the power goes out for him now
right.
than stays where it is. And he doesn't have an Adrian Gonzalez, who at least was hitting, 20 to 30 home runs a couple years ago, 30 whatever it was, 31, 20-something last year. He doesn't have that behind him anymore.
Right.
So they are in trouble. I saw a couple of weeks ago when the Lebanon Warriors were playing basketball against Crescent Valley. We were there on a Saturday because of their bleachers, have been condemned. The bleacher man that came through and condemned their bleachers at the football stadium a few years ago.
The bleacher preacher.
The bleacher preacher. He came in and condemned the bleachers in their gym. So for some reason, we had to reschedule. We played there on a Saturday afternoon, and Pat Casey was there. And I happened to pass him as I was coming into the gym. He was standing right in the doorway. He said hello, and talked to him, and I said something about Jacoby Ellsbury. I asked him, I think, said, tell me this. How did Jacoby Ellsbury suddenly hit 32 home runs in a season, drive in 100 runs, doing better than Adrian Gonzalez, hit whatever it was, 330 something, should have been the MVP, but they had a bad September, and I think that did him in. And Pat said, well, I always said when he was with us that he had power. And he told some of the people that came in, there were always baseball scouts looking at Jacoby. In fact, we saw the Washington scout come in and look at Jacoby Ellsbury. The Red Sox scout come in and take a look for them when they were up in Washington. And the Red Sox did finally, recruit him, draft him. But he said, I always said that he had pop, that you could see him in batting practice. He'd hit some long balls that you would never imagine. So he always, according to Pat, he's always had that, that power.
Right.
This is where I was going with this. I wanted to ask you this. The Yankees have really somewhat come undone. They're older, and they let several of their players go this year without picking up others. Can you tell me, Rob Allen, Nick Swisher, one of those outfielders with good power, probably produced 20-some home runs. All around they had people hitting 20 home runs in the lineup, and they let several of these people go. Alex Rodriguez had an off season. Curtis Granderson did well. But they had a lot of people at every position producing about 20-plus home runs. Put them all together, and they've had quite a powerful team. Nick Swisher's not playing with the Yankees.
Why?
Because they let him go.
They let him go.
I'm not sure. I believe with this, I think, was through free agency that they didn't re-sign him.
He's one of their best players.
Where is Nick Swisher?
Where's he at now?
Yeah.
Where is he at now?
Yeah.
Is he in the National League?
No.
Is he in the American League?
Yes.
Okay. Is he at Boston?
No.
No.
Is he in let me ask the next question. Is he figured at a Red Box? No. Is he in the same division? No.
No.
Is he in the West? No.
No.
Is he in the Central Division? Yes.
Detroit?
No.
No. Cleveland. Cleveland. Oh, my.
He is with the Cleveland Indians. He's with the Cleveland Indians. Nick Swisher went to Cleveland. Cleveland actually picked up quite a few players in the offseason. They actually spent some money. They have a very nice stadium in Cleveland. Used to be Jacobs Field, but now some other corporation bought it out. And by the way, we need to stop that. We need to disallow that in baseball where they keep changing the names of the stadium and you can buy the stadium.
Yep, I agree.
Let's go back to Municipal Stadium in Cleveland, the way it used to be. Nick Swisher is with Cleveland. Russell Martin, who did a good job catching after, that name, I'm going to lose that name. The catcher was with him for so many years. Yogi Bear. No.
Jorge Posada.
Yeah, Jorge Posada. Yes, thank you. He left last year. Had some injury problems and finally departed. Russell Martin took over and did a really good job. So Russell Martin is not playing for the Yankees.
Joe Girardi could activate himself. He was a catcher for the Yankees years ago.
He may have to. They have some problems at catcher. Russell Martin's gone. Did you know that?
No.
He is.
Wow.
Where is he?
Where is he?
Yes.
Cleveland?
No, he's not in Cleveland.
He's not in Cleveland.
He didn't go to Cleveland. No. He went, which you got to start with the same questions.
Yeah.
Is he in the National League?
Is he in the National League?
Yes.
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 Is he in the West?
No, he's not in the West. He is with a team that surprised last year in the National League. Gave a good run for half of the season, and then fell apart in their old ways again.
Nationals. Was it the Washington Nationals?
Nationals had a great season all year.
This
team came undone halfway through, and they wound up a pretty poor season. Central Division.
Central Division.
Ray.
St. Louis?
Name? Ray.
I don't got
My
it.
last name.
Ray Pitts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where is Russell Martin?
Where's Russell Martin?
Uh-huh. Pittsburgh, for Christ.
Pittsburgh.
What am I, a radio dentist here pulling teeth? By the way, I'll charge you for the morning. We haven't seen anybody stop in yet with the $10 that we want you to come by and drop by our studio today. Feel free to do so. Russell Martin's in Pittsburgh. So Russell Martin and Swisher, who were two great contributors to the Yankees, they're both gone. Eric Chavez, a Yankee last year, and took over after A-Rod departed, particularly with the injury, and occasionally spelled A-Rod at the end of the year because he wasn't hitting and he was in that big slump. Eric Chavez stepped in and did all right. He's not with the Yankees.
Where is he, Ray? Where is he now?
Is he in the National League?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Is he in the National League West?
Yes.
Arizona.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Did I get that
Yeah,
right?
you got it right. One
Eric
for one.
Chavez is in Arizona. I mean, this is surprising. Raul Ibanez, I don't know if you remember from the playoffs, he was the one that was delivering for them. Got a big hit against Baltimore to knock them out of the playoffs, and then delivered well against Detroit. He was the only one, basically, I think, hitting against Detroit, but the Yankees lost the series. Anyway, Raul Ibanez is not with the Yankees.
Is he with Philadelphia? Because I know he's got Philadelphia. He used to be with the...
He was with the Phillies for a while. No. Raul Ibanez, before he was with the Phillies, was with another team for many years.
Seattle Mariners?
Yes, he's back with the Mariners.
He's back with the Mariners.
Raul Ibanez is playing with the Mariners. Kevin Youkilis is not in Boston. You may remember he was traded last summer.
Yes. To New York.
No, he was not traded to New York. He was traded to the White Sox.
The White Sox, that's right. Another pinstripe.
First game with the White Sox, he homered. And then he started to slump a little bit. Where is Kevin Youkilis this year?
Is he in the American League?
Yes, he is.
Yes. Is he in the East?
Yes, he is.
Is he with Boston?
No, he's not with Boston. He is with the Yankees.
He is with the Yankees this year.
Kevin Youkilis was dropping off with the Red Sox. They had a younger player they thought could replace him. He may very well do that. Did well last year. But, Kevin Youkilis is still somebody who may deliver, but he's one of those maybe-type people now. He may have seen his best years behind him, and the Yankees pick him up. At the same time, they let Nick Swisher, Russell Martin, Eric Chavez, Raul Ibanez, and Jeff Keppinger, who was a part-time player but did well with the Yankees, with the White Sox. All of those people are gone, and they pick up Kevin Youkilis. It was a strange off-season for the Yankees.
And they still keep the main guy, Derek Jeter, right?
Derek Jeter, but remember, he hurt that ankle.
Right.
At the end of the year against, again, that was probably against Detroit, in that series with Detroit.
Yes.
And they're not sure, and he's getting up there, too.
Right.
But you certainly want him. That's a good deal. But that's surprising to see that kind of talent go, and really, it's not like they went out and picked up other people.
And they got talent back, right, yeah.
CC Sabathia is older. They didn't do anything to improve their pitching staff. This is why those people that pretend to be in the know, like Sports Illustrated, many of them picked the Yankees to really fall off this year.
Right, and for many years, Sports Illustrated, whoever gets on the front cover of Sports Illustrated to begin their season, they're doomed to have a bad season. It's like a kibosh.
Well, at least we know there's not going to be a Red Sox player on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Right, so this is your year.
Maybe so. Maybe that's good. But remember that Sports Illustrated was the one that picked the Beavers #1. At least one of their writers did. And they had Ken Simonton on the cover.
Yep.
Back in 2000.
He's a Heisman candidate, and he had his worst year as a Beaver.
So they don't know, but it is interesting to see the Yankees and Boston doing that same thing, where they traded Adrian Gonzalez, they traded Carl Crawford, Josh Beckett. It's time to let him go, probably. But you would think, according to them, they picked up a great deal on their salary that they could spend. They didn't spend it. Mm-hmm. And the Yankees obviously saved a bundle on Swisher, Martin, Eric Chavez, Raul Ibanez, a little bit less, but still saving some money, and they didn't spend it.
Amazing.
Strange. But that's the way it is. Baseball about to start. This is the kind of stuff we can talk. I love it.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. This is From the Sidelines at 1580 KGAL. We'll return in a moment.
The Osgood File, sponsored in part by Regis. Let Regis help you to focus on your business while they take care of your workspace needs. Get 2 months free on a fully wired and furnished office. Call 1-800-OFFICES. This is Charles Osgood. 2 British designers have come up with a wonderfully low-cost, low-tech, high-impact source of light for a third of the people on Earth. It requires no batteries, no kerosene or fuel of any kind, and there's no running out of what it runs on, which is gravity. Jim Reeves is one of the 2 creators.
So the product consists of the generator ambient light unit. It's shipped in a very robust bag which takes ballast. You take it out of its bag, you fill this bag with gravel, sand, soil. You attach the bag, you hang the product, and when you lift the bag, then you have your light source.
More after this. Businesses, from startups to Fortune 500 firms, have something in common. They're intentional, they focus on success, and they don't get distracted. And many successful businesses have something else in common. They work from a Regis office. Your beautifully furnished, wired Regis office can be ready when you need it, with a receptionist, access to meeting rooms, and state-of-the-art video conferencing, all with no long-term lease. Regis is the new way to work. Call 1-800-OFFICES and get 2 months free when you mention Osgood. That's 1-800-OFFICES. In this moment, who has your back? An insurance company delivering excellence during your claims process? Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. Let an Auto Owners independent insurance agent have your back, so when the unthinkable happens, you get the claim service you deserve. For J.D. Power and Associates award information, go to jdpower.com. Find your local independent agent at autoowners.com. The Gravity Light is designed to sell for around $5. Each 3-second pull on the bag produces a half hour of useful light. It's cheaper than solar technology. Co-creator Martin Ritterford can explain that.
The trouble with solar technology is that you have to charge a battery with the solar power that you've gained from the sun, then use the battery power to power at night. So it was really important to find the cheapest way of supplying reasonable quality light to these people.
To these people, the Gravity Light can be a giant leap forward. Right now, says Jim Reeves,
third of the world's population is off-grid. So you've got large communities across Africa and India and South America and even Northern Europe and into Russia where power is either intermittent or absent. So we want to take a large number of the devices out to the intended end users, get feedback on how the product would perform in the field. It's very different from the conventional solutions that people will be familiar with.
To them, changing the world is, to use our late colleague Eric Severid's phrase, not so wild a dream. The Osgood File. I'll see you on the television come Sunday morning on CBS. This is Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
Albany Golf and Event Center, formerly Spring Hill Country Club, has been welcoming golfers from across the Pacific Northwest since 1959 and is open to the public. The championship 18-hole year-round golf course, complete with pool, restaurant, pub, and event facility, has become a cornerstone of the Albany community. Celebrate the month of March with a March 1st Friday night seafood buffet. Entrees include Catala Milanese, Maryland crab cakes, all-you-can-eat oyster shooter with the always popular delicious chocolate fountain. Adults $23, kids $6, and make plans for their Easter brunch too. March 31st. Seating fills up fast, so make reservations now. 541-926-6059. Albany Golf and Event Center is more than just a golf course and a wedding banquet facility. It's also a fantastic caterer for a private party. They have 2 different restaurants on site, poolside, wait service, and plenty of catering choices. And don't forget about their weekend and holiday breakfast service, and enjoy anything from Eggs Benedict to their tasty omelets, perfect for before or after church. Albany Golf and Event Center. The best weddings, banquets, golf, and more. Log on to albany-golf.com.
Banking these days can be pretty impersonal. You've got your big banks, your internet banks, your do-it-yourself banks, and your too-big-to-fail banks. That's wwhy you might be interested in an alternative. Willamette Community Bank. Hello, this is Bill Higbee, residential lender. You deserve better service without sacrificing a thing. So if you're feeling underserved, make the switch to the best banking option out there, with branches in Albany and Lebanon.
Willamette Community Bank. Service like no other. We promise. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Need a home? Then listen to Real Estate Talk with Dave Pouch, Saturday mornings on Smart Talk 1580.
Welcome back from the sidelines for this Friday morning. Thank you for joining us here. Wally Ordeman, who is up in Portland actually with business today, is gone. But over there is Rob Allen, who is taking care of from the sidelines business this morning.
Absolutely.
You know, this is, of course, the home of the Beaver Believer. And as I was searching for that Beaver Believer that I was going to play for you today about the expectations from 2001, I found another one that in that same pile that talked about the fact that we were starting to carry duck sports. And the Reverend said something about being asked a question, if you're now carrying duck games, don't you have to have a church of, for the ducks as well?
Right.
And that's when we began carrying excerpts from the Church of the Duck Devotee.
That's right. The Demon Duck.
The Demon Duck was the spokesperson.
Or Deacon. I should say Deacon Duck, wasn't it? It's not Demon.
Well, it was Deacon, but the Reverend, of course, referred to him as the Demon Duck.
The Demon Duck.
Instead of the Deacon Duck. And that was our answer to the question of, if you carry duck sports, why don't you have a church for the ducks? Well, we did for a time as well. Speaking of the ducks, yesterday, we noted on our morning update, 5:30 tonight every day on this station, that the Ducks had beaten Washington the night before, which is Washington's been slumping, but still the Ducks have too. It was a good win. They got the win. And that they were in good shape because last night Arizona was going to Colorado and UCLA was going to Cal. And UCLA has really struggled at Cal in recent years. Plus, Cal had beaten Arizona and they had beaten the Ducks. And those were two of the top teams along with UCLA. Well, sure enough, the Cal beat UCLA last night, 76-63.
Good for them.
And Arizona went to Colorado. The first time they met, there was a three-point shot at the buzzer that should have been allowed.
Right.
But they said the buzzer had gone off, and I guess they can't review that in college basketball. I think that's probably the case. But as it stood, they had to go overtime because the shot was not allowed. Although it should have been, they should have won the game. They went overtime and they lost Arizona. But last night they met in Colorado, and sure enough, Colorado beat them 71-58.
That's an upset.
Somewhat.
Colorado started off good, for the season and their preseason and everything, and things were looking good, but they got into the conference season. So, but they're a middle of the pack kind of a team. They play up to their competition. Sometimes they play down with their competition.
But they knocked off the Ducks.
Right.
And last night at home, they beat Arizona, whom they should have beaten in Arizona in the first place. So both of those teams did lose, and the Ducks are now in first place again, 9-3, and UCLA and Arizona fall to 8-4. And yes, the Demon Duck is not here to talk about that this morning, but we do have Duck basketball tomorrow at 4 as they play Washington State, which should be the easier of the two.
Right. Oregon State beat Washington State the other night, Wednesday night.
Yeah.
For a good, solid road victory.
And, of course, the Beavers play tomorrow, but we have the Ducks here on our station, 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon against Washington State, and a pregame at 3:30 tomorrow. A piece that was in the news this week, Nike co-founder Phil Knight issued a statement blasting the Free Report characterization of Penn State coach Joe Paterno in the child sex abuse scandal involving assistant coach Jerry Sandusky. Following the release last year of former FBI Director Louis Freeh's report, Knight issued a statement saying that he was saddened that Paterno apparently made missteps that led to heartbreaking consequences after the Free Report came out. But now that the new report has come out, he says he may have jumped to conclusions. That's after the report by former U.S. Attorney General and Pennsylvania Governor Dick Thornburgh, and those are responsible positions, issued a study commissioned by the Paterno family. Now, there's a dangerous aspect. It's like hiring your own lawyer. It's going to see things from one side. But his report says that he thinks that the Free Report jumped to conclusions. They never talked to Paterno himself, for example. They never got his explanation of exactly what he did or what he did not do.
Right.
In a statement released on Monday, Phil Knight called the findings of the Free Report unjustified and unsubstantiated. So I don't want to go in. We've discussed that.
Right.
And Lance Armstrong. Is it Lance Armstrong or Louis Armstrong? Which one plays the trumpet?
Louis.
Was it Louis?
Yes.
So Louis was not in the Tour de France 7 times?
Maybe a long time ago.
So difficult. But it's kind of interesting. We'll see what happens. Not much has been made of it so far. But Penn State trustee called on the university governing board to re-examine the findings after the new report. The critique released this weekend by Joe Paterno's family raised serious and troubling questions, they say, about Free's finding. So that may still be up in the air. This basketball season is coming, March Madness. Are you going to participate in Wally's yearly annual scale?
No, I've never been invited. He usually has a pretty set group of people.
Oh, no, anybody can get in.
Anybody?
Yeah,
anybody. Have you done it? Have you done it before?
No,
it's a scam.
Well,
I want to get
every year there's somebody with the last name of Ornament.
I know.
Doing well in his March Madness poll.
If I get involved, I'm just donating. That's all it is. It's a donation.
Even Wally's mom has done well. No, Alice, if she's listening, is a big sports fan, and we'll be talking with her from spring training soon. This week. She always goes down with the Braves, your favorite team. That's her favorite. We'll get in touch with her at spring training. But even she did well. And I don't think she's really, that deep into college basketball. But have you any feelings about this year?
Oh, man, it is so wide open.
It really is.
It really is more wide open than any years past. And Kentucky, they were a hot team last year. They're not even part of the equation. It's amazing. They have like 4 or 5 starting freshmen, and Louisville's looking good. They're arch rival. Certainly Syracuse is tough. Duke, many people think Duke is a favorite. How about Gonzaga? How about the Zags?
Gonzaga's back in the top 5 for the first time in 5 years.
Could they possibly, I don't know, could they possibly get a number 1 seed when it's all said and done? I mean, they used to be the Cinderella team, and they've crept up to the top 5.
Yeah, they're in the top 5. We'll see if
But their conference is weak. Their conference is not very strong, and that's going to weigh into it. So.
But what really interests me about Gonzaga is the fact that they've sort of come back after slipping a little from the basketball power.
Right.
Usually that's tough to do. And you would think that Gonzaga is not like some of the other schools that have the long, long time history that slip a little bit, like Kentucky this year is slipping, or Kansas. But it's interesting that they made it back again and are in the top 5.
Hey, kudos to Mark Few. How many different offers has he had since this run that his program has had to go to places like Oregon or replace Ernie Kent or elsewhere, and he has stayed the course and stayed loyal to his university. That, I really admire that.
Well, it should be interesting, and I think Wally's annual March Madness scale,
it is madness,
or whatever they call that, is wide open because you can really pick just about any number of teams who might make it through with all the upsets from this year. But once again, I will not. I will not.
Who do you think will win, Ray?
I don't have any idea. Truthfully, I don't follow college basketball that close to see them actually play. The only thing I know are final scores and who's doing well and who's not. But I have no idea of how they look on the court or how they would break down against each other. None at all.
The really cool thing is this year marks the 75th anniversary of CBS's coverage of March Madness, and they're doing every weekend. They're doing, I think this next weekend is the top. I think last weekend was the top 10 coaches in the tournament. They have the top 10 buzzer beaters going to be coming up here in a few weeks, from the tournament. It's really neat to see the history.
Is Dick Vitale, is he still doing games this year? I haven't tuned in enough to know. Is he?
Yes.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Is he? Well, maybe we can fit in a Dick Vitale piece before we leave there. We'll take this break, and we'll return. We'll see if that works out for us, but we'll take this break and come back and finish up this morning from the sidelines.
Hi, this is Michelle with Servco. We have a very good crew at Servco. My guys get along very well together. They're very good workers and they're proud of themselves. They do a good job. They represent themselves well in the community. I would trust them with my grandmother. When we hire guys, that's one of the qualities I look for in them. Is this somebody I could send to my grandmother's house or to my mother's house and feel comfortable that they're going to take care of her in the way that I would want her to be taken care of?
Servco, licensed and bonded heating and air conditioning technicians. 541-451-5090.
Now open Saturdays.
Mark Thomas Motors, why pay more?
It's Truck Month at Mark Thomas Motors in Albany. 0% financing for 36 months on 2012 trucks. Ram is the only pickup manufacturer to achieve 20 mpg Highway Plus across its entire light-duty engine lineup. You'll love the Ram 1500 Hemi V8 in regular quad and crew cabs with 3 bed sizes. Get behind the wheel of a Ram truck. Hard charging power, easygoing gas mileage, an incredibly smooth ride, extra grip and pulling power. Lots of 2012 trucks to choose from now at Mark Thomas Motors in Albany. You'll be proud.
Check your mailbox for the Mark Thomas Motors Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Tax Time Community Cherry and Sales Event. You can win a new Dodge Star cash, Apple iPods, gold coins, and more. See mailer for details. Your tax return is your down payment, and partial proceeds go to the ABC House. Payments available at 0 down and $132 a month. Pre-owned autos as low as $999. See dealer for details. Save big during the Tax Time Community Cherry and Sales Event at Mark Thomas Motors, 2315 Salem Highway Southeast in Albany. Hurry, sales ends this Sunday at 5.
Mark Thomas Motors, why pay more?
Jay Farner here from Quicken Loans. We get a lot of tweets from folks that sound just like this. Jay, I bought my home in 2007. Since then, it's gone down in value. Now I owe more on my mortgage than my home is worth. Can I refinance? The answer may very well be yes. Recently, the government announced changes that may allow folks to refinance even if their home has lost value. For example, if you owe $300,000 on your mortgage, but your home's only worth $150,000, Quicken Loans may still be able to help you. Or if your current mortgage rate is higher than 3.99%, you've got to give us a call today at 800-QUICKEN. And for 3 years in a row now, J.D. Power & Associates has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. So, if your current mortgage is higher than 3.99%, or if you owe more than your home is worth, call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com.
For J.D. Power & Associates award information, visit jdpower.com. Important terms and conditions apply. Calls for cost information. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and MLS number 3030.
Here in the Mid-Willamette Valley, most farmers and ranchers cherish their horses. But when a horse becomes neglected and unwanted, the Lynn County Animal Rescue steps up to help. Their mission is to provide a safe and nurturing environment for abused, abandoned, neglected, and elderly horses. Operated solely by volunteers, they are a nonprofit rescue and horse sanctuary. To find out more on how you can help Lynn County Animal Rescue, call 541-258-3422 or visit their website, lcarhorse.org.
Less hype, just quality news, sports, and smart talk. From your friends at 1580 KGAL.
From the sidelines, let's jump back in here and see. We mentioned the March Madness coming up, and I haven't seen Dick Vitale yet this year, but apparently he is still there with the broadcast. Dick Vitale, who competed against Barry White in a competition called the Baby Off. Remember that?
Here's exciting news about the greatest party album of all time. You've asked for it, and now it's finally here. The Dick Vitale Oh Baby album. Yes, the Baby Meister himself, Dick Vitale, does remakes of the greatest baby songs of all time, including The Miracles' Oh Baby Baby. Oh Baby, Baby. Sonny and Cher's Baby Don't Go. Oh Baby, Don't Go. Players, Baby Come Back. Oh, baby, come back. And Dick Vitale does great baby songs by such groups as The Four Tops. Oh baby, I need you lovin'. White Plains. Oh baby, loves lovin'. The Ronettes. Be oh baby. And you also get Dick Vitale's amazing remake of Buzz Clifford's classic, Baby Boogie. Boogie, boogie, boogie. Oh, baby! And if you order today, we'll include excerpts of last year's historic Baby Off competition between Dick Vitale and Barry White.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby!
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby!
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby! Write today for your copy of this great album. From the very first time you hear it, you'll say, oh, baby!
Dick Vitale. I hear the music. Ducks tomorrow at 4 o'clock game time. We have basketball tonight on KGAL South and the Warriors, and on K-Show it's Dallas and West Albany. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Ray.
Have a good sports week, and remember, spring is not far behind. Beavers and Ducks playing baseball today. That's great.
Around the clock, around the world. Your first choice for information is News Talk 1580 KGAL, Lebanon, Albany, Corvallis.